Hello and welcome to another Euros edition of the Dream Team Professor podcast. My name is Scott, and in this episode, we're going to be doing a Group C preview of the Sun Dream Team fantasy football game. We're going to be looking at form, set piece takers, who's been scoring the goals and getting the assists in qualifying, and then my top picks from each team. If you want to have a look at Group A, Group B, they're already out, the previews. Or if you're completely new to the Sun Dream Team Euro game, I have got a guide on all of the rules and how to play. So you can check that out in the link in the description below. But we'll start off with looking at Group C. So we have Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and of course, England in this group. But we are going to start off with Slovenia on this slide. So they face Denmark in their first fixture. They actually had Denmark in their qualification group as well. They were joint top in the group. Denmark actually came first, went through on, I think it was the head-to-head, but Slovenia did come second. So joint for points with 22, 7 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. They did actually beat Portugal in a fairly recent friendly back in March, and Portugal have been in really, really good form recently. So that was quite surprising to see. For Slovenia, it was 2 goals scored on average per game and 0.9 goals against per game in the qualifying. So pretty impressive qualifying campaign, although there were a few weaker sides in this qualifying group. 4 clean sheets in qualifying as well. Penalty taker is Sesko, who's been strongly linked with Arsenal for this transfer window. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on him. Would be a good enabler, but these striker spots are so valuable for us all, with extra points for goals and goal boosters being thrown into the mix. So I don't think I'll be punting on him, but I will give you a bit of a lowdown on him in a minute. Free kicks are from a player called Serin. He's also on corners, a £2 million midfielder, so could be an enabler. Goals were scored by Sesko. He scored 5 in qualifying. And then someone called Sporar scored 3. Assists, Serin got 3, Sesko got 2. Sporar got 2 assists as well. Like I mentioned, clean sheets, just the 4 out of 10 in qualifying. So onto my favourite options. I don't see myself picking any Slovenia players, to be honest with you, but Serin, £2 million midfielder, on all free kicks and corners. 1 goal, 3 assists in qualifying is a pretty decent return, with a 5.8 average if you was to translate his qualifying performances into Dream Team points. I've been using ffstuff.co.uk's database for that. So 5.2 player performance marks also would average him 1 bonus point per game, which is pretty impressive. And then 1.7 tackles per game would be just shy of getting that extra point per game, but could be value at 2 million. But it would take some guts to pick someone like him. Sesko, he's going to be the guy that would be most popular from this team if someone was going to go there. £2.5 million striker, 6'5" goal machine. He's got 18 goals for Leipzig, and he has been linked with Arsenal. So a lot of people are going to be watching him closely. He had 5 goals, 2 assists in qualifying, and he's on penalties as well with a 7-point average. But like I say, there were some pretty weak oppositions in this group. You had San Marino, who was sort of a minus 28 goal difference, Kazakhstan, Northern Ireland. So the group is going to be a lot tougher. I don't expect him to hit anywhere near those numbers against Denmark, Serbia, and England. On to Denmark, and they actually were in the same group, like I mentioned, topped the group in qualifying, winning 4, drawing 1, and losing 3. 1.9 goals scored, 1 goal against per game, keeping 3 clean sheets in this group. So 1 less than Slovenia. Penalty taker is Eriksson, 3 million. He's looking like quite good value. As we know, takes really good set pieces. So he's on penalties, free kicks, and corners. You did have Kajaya and Dolberg taking penalties back in 2021, but really since then it's just been all Eriksson. Eriksson took 3 before that, and when Dolberg and Kajaya took the last penalties, Eriksson was injured. He wasn't on the pitch, so Eriksson will be the penalty taker for Denmark. Rasmus Højlund, a familiar name, was the top scorer in the group with 7 from Denmark. He had Vind, who had 3. Myler, Skive, and Højberg also had 3 goals in the qualifying. Assists were Vind and Ericsson had 3 as well. So Ericsson chipping in with the attacking returns. But my favourite option from Denmark would be Myler at 4 million. Started 8 out of 8, a defender, but a really, really attacking defender. 4 million does feel pretty cheap, but he does have some impressive attacking returns, and he historically has been pretty good in tournaments. He had 2 goals, 1 assist in qualifying with a 7.1 average points. Can also potentially be on free kicks and corners if Ericsson goes off for whatever reason. But Myler does look like a good option. And one of the other reasons why I think that he could be a decent option is I've been looking at a website called 11ify, and they give you sort of predicted goals, predicted clean sheets for all of the groups. Really, really good data on there. And Denmark actually have the second best predicted clean sheet odds at 44% chance in this match day 1 opener against Slovenia. So Denmark have really, really good odds of keeping a clean sheet against Slovenia. So Myler could get a clean sheet in that one, and also has the opportunity to get attacking returns. But if you did go for a Denmark defender against Slovenia, you then have England in match day 2 and then Serbia in match day 3, which doesn't look as appealing. So you'd probably only want him for 1 match day. He had 2 goals, 1 assist also in the last Euro. So good attacking pedigree from the defender. If you did want to target that clean sheet, but you did think that 4 million was too expensive, you could go after Kajaya at 3 million. Started 7 out of the 10 matches. You also have Anderson and Christensen at 3.5, but that just seems too expensive to me. I think it's either go for the best attacking option at 4 or go down to 3 million. But overall, I probably won't be going here either, Slovenia or Denmark. The only one that sort of has my attention is Christian Eriksen at 3 million. So it's mainly due to the price. We do have to have budget enablers. If you try to put a draft together, it really is quite difficult to make a team that's sort of fairly balanced over the pitch with still having the good strikers. So 3 million does seem like a good price for him. Set piece taker, free kicks, corners, penalties. He did start 6 out of 10 in the qualifying, which concerned me. But then when I went back and looked, the games where he didn't start, he wasn't in the squad. So you'd have to assume that that coincided with injury. Averaged 8.3 points per game with a 7.2 average player performance marks while playing for Denmark. So that would have put him on 1 bonus point roughly per game, but actually really, really close to getting 3 bonus points. With a 7.2 average, if you get to 8, you would get 3 bonus points in a game. So it looks like he could be good for bonus as well as being on set pieces. 1 goal, 3 assists in the qualifying. And also yesterday in a pre-tournament friendly against Sweden, I believe it was against, he came away with a goal and an assist. The assist for Højbjerg coming from a corner, and then a long range effort for the goal. So Ericsson could be finding some form right before the tournament. Rasmus Højlund, a lot of people are going to look at him, but quite honestly, his goal record in qualification was impressive with those 7 goals. But it's just not enough for me to consider him. His form has been pretty poor for Man United recently, and this group is going to be a lot tougher than what the qualifying group was. Just a quick reminder, if you want to get kept up to date with all the latest Sun Dream Team Euro 2024 content, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You'll get kept up to date with all the new releases I have, and you can go back and look at some of the previous videos if you are new. Also, I'm partnered with the Dream Team Tonic podcast. We podcast on a weekly basis, and we have Euro podcasts out at the moment. We had an episode last weekend, a real big breakdown of the whole competition, which players we're liking the look of, which fixtures we're liking. So do check that out. Link in the description below. We've also got a Discord community where we're all chatting about our current drafts, which players we're looking at. We've got exclusive articles coming out as well, highlighting some of the best player picks. So do check out the Dream Team Tonic podcast and our Patreon community in the description below. Now we have Serbia up next. So Serbia face England. So I'll do England after this slide. But in qualifying, they came second behind Hungary, who obviously had a really, really good campaign, unbeaten. Serbia, 4 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses. Both of those losses came to Hungary. Both of the draws they had came to Bulgaria, though, who finished bottom of the group with no wins. Their recent form hasn't been great either, losing friendlies to Belgium, Russia, and Austria recently. 1.9 goals scored in the qualifying, 1.1 goals conceded, 2 clean sheets from 8. So not massively impressive at the back. They've got good firepower going forward, though. So Mitrovic up top, you'll obviously be familiar with. And then Vlahovic, who also previously had been linked to Arsenal, I think playing in Serie A now, I think. Mitrovic did miss the last penalty for Serbia, but he's down as being the predicted taker. He scored 13 penalties just this season for Al Hilal. So obviously different levels, but 13 penalties. He is familiar with taking penalties and he's been tipped to be the taker. Also, Vlahovic has taken penalties previously, but it's going to be between one of these two strikers. Dusan Tadic, though, previously at Southampton, I think. He is on free kicks and also corners. And it could be another one of these sort of bonus machines that take all the set pieces, put a lot of crosses in, and is involved with quite a lot. A bit like Ericsson, for example. He had 2 goals and 4 assists in qualifying. He had Mitrovic, who had 5, which was the most, and Vlahovic, who had 3. My favourite options, firstly, I would just avoid the first fixture for them because they do play against England. England are tipped very heavily by the bookies. They look really good on the projected clean sheets and goals scored. So everyone is favouring England at the minute, and I think I would just swerve Serbia. But if you were looking to target Serbia for maybe Slovenia or Denmark, then I think Tadic at 3 million looks like value. 7.1 average, 2 goals, 4 assists in qualifying, taking most of the set pieces apart from the penalties, although he has taken some previously. 10 goals, 14 assists for Fenerbahce this season. So does get attacking returns, does get in these attacking positions. 5.3 average player performance marks would have got him a bonus point per game, roughly. He also had really good chance creation numbers and accurate crosses, which with accurate crosses, he's got Mitrovic and Vlahovic, who are 2 big lads playing up top. So he has got a lot to aim for. So Tadic could be one to watch. Then lastly, we have England. So unbeaten in qualifying, 6 wins, 2 draws, finished first ahead of Italy with 4 clean sheets from 8 matches. 2 wins against Italy in qualifying. I know things have been a bit unstable at Italy in the qualifying, but still pretty impressive. 2.8 goals scored per game and 0.5 goals against per game. So a really impressive qualifying campaign from England. But things are starting to look, I don't know, a little bit shaky for England today. So we've had the final squads released for England, and there's been a couple surprises, including Harry Maguire not making the squad through injury. And a few other questionable selections. But overall, I think the squad is still looking pretty strong. England have the highest projections for clean sheets in the group stages at 1.2. The highest projected goals in the group, so 7.4 across the 3 fixtures. This is via 11FI again. England also are the slight favourites to win the tournament ahead of France, which seems a surprise to me. I would still back France ahead, and there's some other really good-looking teams like Portugal as well. But it's good to see that the bookies are backing us. Penalty taker, obviously Harry Kane, no surprises. But then it gets a little bit more complicated. So there's still quite a lot of moving parts for England, depending on what the lineup is, which isn't great for a game where you don't see the lineups before picking your team. So free kicks. Obviously, Kieran Trippier is tipped to start at left back. And I'd imagine that he would be a free kick and corner taker. However, Trent Alexander-Arnold started in that sort of CDM role alongside Declan Rice. So with Trippier and Trent both on the pitch, Trent Alexander-Arnold took all set pieces and corners, and Trippier didn't. So it looks like if both are on the pitch, Trent is going to be the taker. But if it turns out that maybe Conor Gallagher starts alongside Declan Rice and Trent doesn't, then I imagine that Trippier will end up taking set pieces, corners. When Luke Shaw comes back, or if Luke Shaw comes back and Trippier might not be starting and Trent's not starting, maybe it could be Saka, Rice, Foden, all corner takers for their clubs. But as it stands, I imagine it probably would be Trent or Trippier. Goals in qualifying, Harry Kane had 8, Saka had the second most of 4, and assists, Harry Kane had 2, because Saka had 2. And like I said, clean sheets were 4 out of a possible 8. So on to my favourite picks from England. No surprises, up first is Harry Kane, 7.5 million. He's got 7 out of 8 starts in qualifying. I think the only one that he didn't start was one of those final matches when England had already sort of topped the group. And I think Watkins or Tony took his place. 8 goals, 2 assists, obviously on penalties. And I think that he's probably a must, in my opinion, alongside Mbappe. A serious captain decision to be made between the two of them on a number of different match days. Serbia, that first fixture, I think looks good. Denmark would be the toughest fixture of the 3. And then Slovenia, if England still have things to play for and we're not worried about rotation, I think is a candidate for that match as well. You have Bellingham at 6 million, and they've made the pricing really, really tough on these England players. So if you're putting Harry Kane in, it really is quite difficult to also put a Bellingham or a Saka, a Foden. So I've had to sort of compare. I think Kane has to be there, but then I think it is a big decision on maybe a second England midfielder. I think Bellingham is my second favourite option in the attacking positions for England. 6 million. He did actually only start 4 out of the 8 qualifiers, but he definitely starts at the Euros. The only question mark would be in what position. Number 10, sort of behind Kane, probably would be the best position. But still sort of remains to be seen what they do with Rice's partner. Is it going to be Rice and Gallagher, Rice and Trent, or do they do something where Rice is the sort of lone sitter and Foden and Bellingham are ahead of him? I think Foden's going to be pushed out to the left and Bellingham is going to play 10. And then I think Rice is probably going to be partnered by Gallagher or Trent personally. But if Bellingham is in that 10, I think he's going to be a really, really good option. 8.3 average player performance marks is huge. That would have seen him getting roughly 3 bonus points a game. 1 assist in qualifying. A little bit disappointing on the sort of attack and returns front in qualifying, but he's had 23 goals, 11 assists this season for Real Madrid. If he starts 10, I do think he's going to be incredible. The slight worry for me is what the rest of the England team looks like, but I think he will start 10. And I am worried he's not in my current draft, but it has caused me issues because I do think I'm going to want him at some point. Saka 6.5. I'm going to put him next. 6 out of 8 starts in qualifying, and like I mentioned, 4 goals, 2 assists. So good attack and returns in qualifying. I like him because he has the right hand side now down. There's no question marks over who starts on that right wing, in my opinion. Compared to Bellingham and Foden, you know, their position could be moved slightly. Foden looked better for City in central areas, but he could be pushed on the left. We're talking about whether Bellingham will be 10 or whether he could partner Rice. I just like the fact that Saka, you just know where he's going to play. 7.7 average points, 3.9 average player performance marks. And we know how well he performs in the normal Dream Team game on the normal scoring. 52 points, 52 bonus points in the normal Dream Team season. 20 goals, 16 assists. So a really, really good season for Arsenal. I do think it's a decent pick. It's just whether or not you think Bellingham is a better pick. Let me know what you're thinking. Rank your top 2 England picks in attack in the comments below. Phil Foden next, 6.5. It feels harsh putting him below Bellingham and below Saka. I just fear that because he's going to be moved out to the left, he won't be as good as he was in the typical Dream Team season. I know he played on the left at times, but the City lineup is a lot more different to the England lineup, and he can sort of get into those central positions. I'm not sure Southgate is as well. No, I know he's not. Southgate isn't as tactically sound as Pep Guardiola by any means. So I just fear that he might not be getting in the same positions as he normally does. But he was the highest scoring player in the normal Dream Team season. He had 55 bonus points, 26 goals, 13 assists. I would love to have him as part of a sort of midfield three with Rice as the only sitter and Bellingham and Foden sort of attacking the way that Foden and De Bruyne do. But I just don't think we're going to do it. I think Rice is going to have a defensive partner. Foden also only started 3 of the 8 games in qualifying, but after the season he's had, I'm pretty sure he does start. The question is just where. 4 matches off the bench, but he did have just a 3-point average in those 3 out of 8 qualifiers. So maybe there is something in it. Playing out of position, playing a slightly different position. Maybe he just doesn't seem to get as many points on average, but maybe this is a little bit of an outlier. Defense is where it gets really, really difficult. They've priced the England defenders so high. So obviously, Maguire and Stones were both priced at 4.5. Maguire is now out of the picture, so we don't have to worry about that. But Stones, we haven't seen him in the previous friendly. Did play the FA Cup final, but wasn't amazing and has had fitness issues of his own. So maybe a little bit of concern there at 4.5. It doesn't feel good to me. 4 million, Kyle Walker probably feels the sort of safest sort of value pick, but doesn't get the most attacking returns for England. Trippier seems like he's going to play left back. He's at 4.5 million. Started the Dream Team season really well, but tailed off with pretty poor form towards the end. He's also going to be playing out of position as well, which doesn't look ideal on the left. He can't put in the crosses as well as he usually does. But then you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold at 5 million, which is really expensive. But after that performance in the friendly the other day, I am slightly entertaining the idea of having him in my team. It's very expensive, but it's tempting to get the defensive cover, so clean sheet coverage for England, who have a really good defense, but also to have that level of attacking threat as well could be interesting. Starting off with Trippier at 4.5, I think I would go with Trippier if Trent wasn't playing, and we knew that Trippier was going to be taking corners, set pieces. But if Trent maybe starts this next friendly and looks in line to start in midfield, I think Trippier has to be ignored. Without sort of his crossing from the right hand side, and then without set pieces and corners as well, I just don't think it's worth the 4.5. Trent only 4 starts in the qualifying, but had a 10.3 average points when he did play. 4.8 average player performance marks, which would have been just shy of 1 bonus point. Obviously has goal and assist threat we saw in that recent friendly. And I just like that he could potentially be an out of position defender for England that gets you those clean sheets as well. So Trent, I'm going to keep an eye on this next friendly. One last thing, with Maguire confirmed not in the squad, we don't really know who's going to partner John Stones. I think a lot of people are suggesting that it will be Mark Gahey from Crystal Palace, but you've also got Konsa and Dunk who are in the squad. Branthwaite didn't make the cut, which I found really disappointing. I think I wanted him to partner Stones. You've also got Joe Gomez at 3.5 million that can play at centre back. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to partner John Stones. I think I'll accept Mark Gahey doing it. I think, to be honest, I think Konsa, Gahey and Dunk have all had fairly good seasons. But yeah, it doesn't quite look that good. But the fact that we might have an England defender at 3 million, one of the best defences, one of the best groups, that could be tempting. That price point, if we know exactly who is going to partner Stones, I could be tempted to go for whoever it is. Not even being that interested in whether they get attacking returns, attacking threat. Just 3 million for an England defender that is alongside Stones. If we know who it is, I think that could be good value. Let me know what you think on that. But yeah, I think it could just be worth it just to try and cover the clean sheets. We know Dunk has good attacking threat. We know that Conson has performed pretty well on the bonus system as well for Aston Villa. So maybe if it's one of those two, that could be exciting. Mark Gahey, I don't think he's done really as much for Palace Dream Team points wise. But again, just £3 million covering the England defence does seem tempting to me. Let me know what you think. Surely for the last friendly against Iceland, John Stones didn't start the Bosnia one. Surely we have to see who's going to be partnering up with Stones in that Iceland game, because neither of these players really have had many minutes alongside John Stones. So we surely have to see it in this Iceland game. If we see someone get the bulk of the game alongside John Stones and they seem to do a decent job, maybe that could be worth punting on for the first fixture. That is everything for this episode. So just a reminder, if you've enjoyed it, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm also running a free community league. There'll be a link in the description below for that. Join in, compete with everyone that watches, everyone in the comments. Just be a little bit of fun. Also, do check out the Dream Team Tonic podcast. I'm going to link that up next. And if you're looking to join a cash league, we've got plenty running with the Dream Team Tonic podcast. If you go over to Twitter, at Dream Team Tonic, there'll be details retweeted or reposted of our cash leagues for the season. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.